Guys, good morning. All right, fine. See, we have seen like how exactly it means by the variable declaration, then what are the different data types that we also have seen, then how to define a variable and what is a variable. And then we also have discussed about different operators, the mathematical, relational, increment, decrement, logical, and few more. So let's now understand how we can start with few of the basic programmings and how we can do this, right? So I would be taking few of the use cases from here, and few of them I would keep it as it is for your homework and for the assignment, so that you could also have the practice. Understand one thing, from this onwards, I would be taking maximum 2 programs per topic because I'll have to cover so many of them. But at the same time, there would be so many programs inside in these notes, and you have to refer them. You have to execute, you have to type, and you have to execute all of them for your practice. To explain you the particular concept, I can maximum take 2 programs, and in some of the cases, I'm going to take only 1 program, because in few of the cases when we are going to with some of the rigid programming, some of the serious programming, that time I would be would be able to take just 1 program, right? So, but at the same time, you're going to find so many different assignments over here inside the notes. So start referring this for your programming practice. You should refer this. All right. So let me now show you which is the environment and where we can have the practice for now, where we can run the program, where we can type the program and compile the program, everything. Understand? See, you first of all would require to go to your environment and then go to your name. There is one link called as developer console. There's one link called as developer console. First of all, click into this. So developer console is going to be that cloud, is going to be that extension where we are going to write all of our programs. We are going to store all of our programs and we would be executing them over there. So we certainly don't require to install anything onto our system. We certainly do not require to install anything into our system. Everything, whatever we are doing right now, all of the programming and everything that we are going to execute on cloud, right? So first of all, expand your name, go to developer console. It would eventually open one separate window. And then this is that window where, we will going to execute the program and see the outcomes of that program over here itself. Now, you would require to go to debug. Go to debug and then open the execute anonymous window. Shortcut to do this is Control E. Shortcut to do this is Control E. You can mark down all these steps, or I think this has been written. This has been written in the program using execute anonymous window. For a time being, we are going to use execute anonymous window for few of the days till the time we don't start with the concepts of object oriented. We would be going to write the program in this temporary window called as execute anonymous window. Execute anonymous window, this one. The execute anonymous window is capable to provide you an environment where you can type your program and you can execute your program. But unfortunately, you cannot store anything over here. Whatever the program you are going to type, you cannot store it. Till the time you are going to learn with object-oriented. When you would be learning object-oriented, I'm showing you how to save the program and how to recall the programs. Like if you have created something like a class or maybe a trigger. So how to call them, I'm going to show you that. So classes and everything, they falls in a category of object-oriented programming. So right now, because we are not doing object-oriented, it's a basic part just to make you aware about syntax of Apex programming. And few of the things of the Apex programming, these are some of the initial programs that we are taking. And these initial programs, we are not going to store it anywhere because we are going to execute them in execute anonymous window. So how to get to execute anonymous window? This navigation is already written. The same thing I'm actually telling you, right? So you first of all would require to go to developer console. How to go over there, expand your name, go to developer console. And inside in developer console, you can either press Control E, that is also fine. That is also fine. Or go to debug menu and then press on the execute anonymous window. So for a time being, and I'm expanding this, you see this button. You have to click on this to make it expand. I would be executing program over here, right? Chalo. So let's see some of the use cases. I'll go with this one. Write an Apex program. Let me copy this whole. And this is single line comment. Single line comment. All right. What is my use case? Write an Apex program to find out the total marks and average marks of a student. So let's consider there are 5 subjects: English, mathematics, physics, chemistry, and Hindi. And we'll have to check how much marks the student have scored in total and what is his average marks. All right. So see, I wanted to store the values for all these subjects. I wanted to store the value for all these subjects. And the value should be in integer. It should be a whole number. We are not considering decimal number at this moment. I would rather say that we are going to store the whole numbers like 50, 20, 30, 40 out of 100, let's consider. So if I wanted to store a value, we would certainly require to define something called as variable that we have yesterday. We have seen that, we have learned what is the purpose of having a variable, defining a variable in a program. So I would define variables. I could define with any name. Rather, it would be good to follow this name. Like, what I'm going to do, I'm considering English, all these subjects as my variables. And because we are going to store numerical data, I would be defining this with integer. See, this is my first program. Up to few more upcoming programs, I'm going to explain you each and every step. Because I consider that few of them, or most of you, sorry, are doing this for the first time. Maybe they are touching this programming for the first time. All right. So I would try to explain it as far as possible. I'll try to explain each and every line. But this is going to be happen only for the first few programs. Don't expect me to explain you everything like this only. As and when we grow into this, I would consider from myself, I'll have to make this assumption that you guys now know this, and there is no need to explain you that. So I would rather concentrate on few more other important things. And this is how we have to complete at least 1 or 2 program in a span of 45 minutes. It's a challenge. All right. Chalo. So I would be defining all these as integer variables, and their names I'm giving as a name of this. Maths, all these I'm defining as an integer variable. And then physics, why I'm copying it one by one. I can do it like this as well. And see, whenever you end up in a statement, just put up a semicolon. That is an important, what to say. It's a syntax of, it was a syntax of C programming even, C++, I think in Java as well. Whenever you are writing a statement, it must always be ended with the semicolon. That's a rule. If you not give it, it's going to give you the error. So that is why every statement must always be ended with a semicolon. Now, I would like to enter, because see, I had just have defined the variable. If at this moment, if I would try to print, what is the value? What is the value of this? First of all, how can I print it? So because see, I just have defined the variable. I have not given any values to them. Yesterday, I told you in C programming, it would always contain, the variables would always contain garbage value. What is garbage? Whatever is present inside that memory previously. But in Apex programming, because we always have a default constructor, what is a constructor would be a part of discussion. Don't worry. Just try to catch the terminologies, nothing else. At this moment, I just wanted you to catch the terminologies. I'm going to explain you each and everything. Whatever I'm saying you right now would be a part of discussion. But right now, at least you should try to catch the terminologies, because Apex programming have a default constructor. Constructor would always store inside the memory, constructor would always store something called as null. Now, if I, at this moment, I wanted to see what are the values inside these variables, what are the values inside these variables, I can take a help of one ready-made method for this. And that method is from a system class. There are so many ready-made classes. Apex programming is not tough at all. There are so many ready-made classes. For so many of your operations, there are so many ready-made classes. So those who know a little bit of C programming, there was a statement when you wanted to print something. There was a statement called as printf. For C++, it was console.out. So every programming has something to print the output, right? In Apex programming, we have system is the name of the class. As soon as I'll put a dot, see, it would going to list out all of the methods inside system class. Inside system class, whatever the methods are there, they are going to list it. You will have to select what method you wanted to use out of them. I wanted to use a method called as debug, system.debug. All right. Let me try to print the values of these variables. So if I just try to show you with like one of them, the value of English equals to, I wanted here to get the value of this variable, see, this variable. I just copy and paste it over here, but this won't work. You have to use an operator at this moment called as plus. Now, what is the use of plus over here? Is it like an arithmetic operator? Actually, plus, yes, plus is an arithmetic operator, of course. It is used to perform the addition. But at this moment, plus also can be used as something called as concatenation operator. What does it mean by this word concatenation? When we say concatenation, the English meaning of this is to join two things, to make a conjunction between two things. Like you have two materials, you put a Fevicol between them and you stuck with them, right? So that is something called as conjunction. That is something called as what to say. I don't get the proper word for that. But anyways, whenever I wanted, something should come over here from this variable. Then and then we use something called as concatenation operator. Plus symbol is used as in two ways. First is arithmetic, second is concatenation. But compiler knows you don't have to define specifically. Compiler भैया यहाँ पे इसका जो काम है वो addition नहीं करने का है. Here it is used for concatenation. That I want at this moment after this statement, I wanted to get the value of this variable. You concatenate, you try to take it from this variable and just print it over here. I wanted you to get the value, print it over here, concatenate the value. You don't have to specifically tell this to compiler. These are very advanced compilers, by the way, and they understand what is the purpose of writing this statement over here. They understand it. You specifically don't require to define it. All right. So let me try to show you that. So I wanted to print this. I wanted to print what is there inside. Whatever would be there inside this variable would be the same inside every one of them. All right. So even if I'm just printing one of them, it's okay. It's fine to understand that whatever the value of this variable would contain, same value would also be there in all of the rest of the four of them. All right. So how to execute this? There's a small checkbox over here, open log. Don't click it right now. I'll show you what happens when you click, what happens when you don't click it. But there's a button called as an execute. All right. So I'll just execute this. Now, when I have execute this, at this window in the execute anonymous window, nothing has happened. Actually, your result has been transferred to developer console. Here you have to come. When you come over here, if you are into some other tab, you first of all would have to go to a tab called as logs. Seems to be a little lengthy process here, but yes, it is. This log has been created. I'm going to tell you what is a log. Don't worry. Make a double click over here. Make a double click. And this is something called as a log, HTML log. Now, you have, I mean, it seems to be very complicated in the first moment. Arey yaar, ye kya hai? Yahan se wahan jana, wahan se yahan jana. But don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry. When I'm saying don't worry, it's actually don't have to worry about this. This is going to be a very habitual thing every time. All right. Just concentrate on to process, not concentrate on how we are navigating to this. ठीक है, अगर मैं ऐसा आपको बोल रहा हूँ, वो देखो चंदा मामा, तो आपको मेरी उंगली पे नहीं देखना है कि how much effort I have put them in to raise my hand, point it to the moon, and then saying, देखो उधर चंदा मामा. No, you have to see over where I wanted you to see. All right. So just look into this. There's a small checkbox called debug only. Make a click onto that. And then value of English is what? Null. So this variable English contains nulls. This seems to be a little lengthy process. I'm going to reduce this. Don't worry. Right now, let me go back. Let me take you back to the execute anonymous window and let's type the program. All right. So when you define a variable, it without any value, it contains null. This we have proved. Let me now give the values to them. So I'm giving the values for English for every subject. I'm giving the value and every statement must always be ended. Did I committed any mistake? Yes. So every statement must always be ended with a semicolon. With a semicolon. All right. Achha, understand one more thing. Writing apex is absolutely what to say, case insensitive. That means if I would write down as a, if I would write down like this, PHYSIC as physics, and I'll give a value, I give a value like this, it would always consider this. I mean, ऐसा नहीं है कि here the way you have written over here, you have to follow the same pattern. Apex is not case sensitive. You can mix capital with small, small with caps, all in caps, all in small, or a combination of caps and small. If I have something like this, I can write it like this as well. Apex is absolutely case insensitive. All right. So you simply don't have to worry about what you have used during this. All right. So I have given all of them. To all variables now I have given the value. Now I wanted to perform an addition. This addition I'm going to store inside a variable called as total, but because I haven't defined total, I first of all would require to define it. So I'm defining a variable called as total where I would be performing addition, See, this time compiler would understand to perform the addition, right? You simply have to write down plus and it understand what does this plus means over here, plus. Aura programming is case sensitive. So that time you have to maintain this. Even in LWC as well. But Apex is completely case insensitive. And now see, I have find out the total of this. Let me try to print that system.debug. The total marks equals to, you can write down any statement, plus. Here I wanted to see the value of total, so I would be writing as total, right? Let me also calculate something called as average. For this, I should also have one variable. So I would be defining a variable called as an average. Whatever you are using, you must define it. Average. Now, average should be what? Total divided by how many subjects are there? There are 5 subjects. So I'm dividing that with 5. Let me print that statement as well. So system dot debug. The average marks equals to, and let me now print the value of average. All right. You put up a space over here or you don't give the space. It doesn't matter. Doesn't make any sense. Compiler treat this like the way he wanted to treat it. Right. So don't worry about like, should I insert a space over here? Should I doesn't insert a space? Don't worry. All right. So this is one small program and there would be few upcoming like this one only, just to make you aware about the syntax of the programming language and how to execute. Now I have written all those programs. I wanted this to be get executed. Now I would click this open log. And what is going to be the benefit? You are going to see that. Previously, what happened is like, I specifically have to, when nothing was loaded over here. to load this log, I'll have to make a double click, right? That is what. And then, I mean, I can see the log. Now let's see what happens when you have enabled open log and when you execute this program. Now, if I would come to developer console, I would come to developer. I was here. I just make an alter tab, alter tab, alter tab, alter tab, alter tab, right? Or you can make control tab. I mean, like this as well. Control board now. Windows tab. That is also good. So this log is being up. This log is what to say. This log is displayed automatically. We don't require to make a double click anywhere. Now click on the debug. You can hide this as well. If you don't require, you can just hide it. When you click on debug, it says the total marks is this one and the average marks is 87, right? So this is one of the example. This is one of the example, right? Let me try to quickly take one more program. So I'll go back to execute anonymous window. And the drawback of execute anonymous window is that you cannot save it anything over here, all right? Every time when you do a programming, you have to either delete that data or fresh or come up with a fresh window. So that was the first program, and let me try to take few of them. Define two numerical values, perform all of the mathematical calculation. All right, that seems to be a good program. So I would take like, see, what is a program? Let me. All right. When you wanted to have multi-line comments, then you can use this one. For a single line comment, 2 backslashes is enough. But for a multi-line comments, you can use this. Like this is the way to write your multi-line comments. All right. So we are having two. I mean, we wanted to insert two numbers, and then we wanted to perform all of the multiplication. I mean, all of the mathematical operations onto that, plus, minus, or like. So I would first of all would define two integer variables, maybe like number 1 and then number 2, right? And let me see how if I would going to require any more variables, right? So I would have to, and let me give the values to them. So I would be giving the value as to number 1, I'm giving the value as maybe like 30, and to number 2, I'm giving the value as, you can put up a space, it make it more readable, 45. All right. Now let me perform the addition of them to system.debug. The result of addition equals to what I wanted to perform. I wanted to perform 30 plus 45. See, if I would write it like this, number 1 plus, you have to write, or else what you can do is like, I mean, instead of doing it like this, there's one another way that you could define a variable, something called as sum. All right. And then you can write down like number 1 plus number 2. But in that case, you would require to define a variable called as sum. For minus, maybe you would require minus, something like that. All right. So I'm showing you one another way. Don't do that. Your system.debug is even capable that you could print the results of some mathematical calculation, whatever, over here as well. So what I wanted to be get printed. I wanted number 1, the addition of number 1 and number 2 should be get printed. But if you write it like this, it can create a confusion. Now, because there are 2 plus operators, it can create a confusion. So better what I'm going to do would be, I'm going to put the statement inside a bracket. I'm going to put the statement inside a bracket. All right. So now compiler would understand first of all, it have to perform the addition of number 1 and number 2. And whatever the result of this is going to be get generated, it is going to store inside a temporary memory. Inside a temporary memory, it would hold this value. And then it's going to print that value. I mean, along with this statement, it would going to append it over here. So this is how the compiler will going to resolve this. All right. So that is what is the result of addition. Let me now go with system.debug. System.debug. The result of maybe subtraction. Result of subtraction equals to. Similarly, I wanted to, let me copy this and I'm going to change the symbol. That's it. I would be copying this. and pasting it out over here. But this time, I'll be making this as minus. All right, let me now copy this. Now, system.debug, the result of, let's say, multiplication equals to plus, I wanted to print the value of number 1, asterisk number 2. Now, if I would divide this 30 by 45, it's going to give me 0 because numerator is less than denominator. That's why I make it 300. Now, hmm, hmm. Now, system.debug, the result of division equals to plus number 1 divided by number 2. So these all are the statements, right? These all are the statements you can see. Let me now execute this program. So let's execute this one. Let's go to the developer console, and this is the fresh log that is being generated. All right. Previous was generated at 756.35. Now 80250. Right. So go and click on debug only, and you can see the result of addition, subtraction, multiplication, and divisions. Right. So that is how like you can type a program. Let me see how many programs are there. Define two variables and print the value. Simplest one. This we have taken. Two numerical numbers, perform the mathematical operations. Right. I just forgot with this maths.mod. I'll take this in a separate program, don't worry. All right. Now you see one thing. There are so many programs. These all are assignments for you. This program is like to calculate the simple interest. Nobody would ask you this in company. All right. Nobody would ask you this. These simple programs, no one would ask you to write down this interview. But why we are learning? Tell me one thing. Is it possible to learn English without learning ABC? Or like whatever you have learned? There's always something basic for that. This is the base of programming. This would make you to understand how to go with developer console, how to launch developer console, how to launch execute anonymous window, how to put up the comments, how to execute the program, how to see the result. What does it means by debug? How to see the debug only? Like if this is my whole response file, how to get only my results out of that. So this would make you aware about small things, and these are essential. I'm telling you, no one would going to ask you to write down this kind of simple programs, but you cannot directly migrate to the big one without learning the small ones. All right. So ultimately you would going to require lots of practice, and practice is the only key to learn the programming. There is no other way. There is no shortcuts. Believe me, there is no shortcuts. If आप अपने आप को झूठ बोल के कोई फायदा नहीं है, ठीक है? If you would try to convincing yourself कि एक दो program कर लेंगे हो जाएगा. So this is something a wrong information you're trying to convey you in a wrong direction. आपको सारे programs पे practice करना है और हो सकता है दो तीन तीन बार करना है at least in the beginning. Now onward you would going to require to put lots of the effort. Maybe 5 to 6 hours you have to invest in this. Then only you are going to be you would be able to complete the admin. You'll able to complete that revision of admin along with this programming. All right. So do with this all programs. The formula for this is PTR divided by 100, principal, tenure, and rate of interest, whatever. You need to define. You need to define all those variables. Then there's another program to find out the sum of first 100 number. And n plus 1 by 2 is the formula for this. And there are so many other assignments as well, right? Go with all of them. Go with all of them. So this is going to be happen. See, I have told you in the beginning, I'm going to take 1 or 2 programs maximum just to make you aware. and there would be so many assignments. All right. So go with all of them. Tomorrow morning is Saturday, but I have a function. I'll have to go. Tomorrow would be an holiday. Tomorrow would be an holiday. I could probably take a class on Sunday. If in that case, I'm going to inform you in the group. Otherwise, you're going to have the holiday for next 2 days. Let's see. But tomorrow for sure, you are having holiday because I'm busy. By tomorrow morning itself, I have to go somewhere. All right. So you have so many things. If you find anything difficult and you wanted me to involve into that, just ping me into your WhatsApp group. Otherwise, these are pretty simple things. I don't see you're going to find any difficulties. In the next session, I'm going to start with the next topic, and that is conditional statements. All right, guys, I'm good with the day. Let me give you this command. All right. Now you can unmute yourself if you wanted to ask anything. Any questions? Any questions? Yes, any questions? Nothing? All right, then. Thank you so much for joining. Have a great weekend and please do the practice. Thank you.